Hollywood worked like a factory, manufacturing identities the same way it manufactured movies. Actors weren't people, they were brands. And Tab Hunter was one of the most carefully engineered brands in studio history. Every hair in place, every smile approved, every rumor monitored. But rumors are slippery, and the 5 names tied to Tab Hunter were slippery enough to make Hollywood sweat. To understand why these whispers were so dangerous, we have to go deeper into the way the industry controlled everything from love to lies. The studio system. Love was a contract. Actors in Tab's era signed away more than years on a contract. They signed away who they could be seen with, who they could date, what they were allowed to wear, even how they were allowed to feel. If a studio executive said, "Go out with this actress tonight," you did it. If they said, "Hold her hand for the cameras," you squeezed harder. Not because you wanted to, because if you didn't, your career disappeared. Executives expected Tab Hunter to be the poster boy for every woman's fantasy. They forged that fantasy through magazine covers, publicity stunts, and perfectly staged photos. But while Hollywood controlled the story, they could never fully control human hearts. That's why these rumored lovers were terrifying. They represented the one thing Hollywood couldn't write: the truth. Why these 5 rumors were like live explosives. Each man wasn't just a star. Each man symbolized something powerful. Brando, masculine rebellion. Nureyev, sexual liberation. Berger, beautiful chaos. Johnson, manufactured perfection. Perkins, the love that could have changed everything. If even one of these whispered relationships had been proven true, the consequences would have been catastrophic. We're talking contracts canceled, films pulled from theaters, multi-million-dollar losses, fan riots and outrage campaigns, families turning on Hollywood idols. Today, a romantic scandal might boost a star's fame. Back then, it could erase them from history overnight. Tab Hunter spent years living one terrified breath away from that erasure. Deep dive behind each rumor. Let's place ourselves in the exact moment these rumors would have surfaced. Imagine Brando and Hunter reaching for the same drink at a party. Someone sees the way they look at each other. They whisper to a reporter. A headline nearly prints, "Two kings of desire, only one crown." Imagine Nureyev arriving late to a gala. He finds Tab in the corner. They laugh loudly, too loudly. A producer's smile drops. Suddenly, Tab is escorted out a side door for his own safety. Imagine Berger and Hunter sharing a hotel elevator. A bellhop sees the look between them. His silence costs a bribe. Imagine Johnson and Hunter disappearing backstage. Flashbulbs spark outside. Someone yells, "Keep them apart!" Imagine Perkins sending one final secret note. Tab stands alone. A camera clicks. He smiles anyway. That's what Hollywood forced him to do. Smile when he was breaking. Hollywood's favorite lie. Tab Hunter's entire public identity was built on one message: he is the perfect man for every woman in America. Fans weren't just entertained by that story. They believed it. They depended on it. Hollywood wasn't selling movies. It was selling comfort, order, tradition. If the public learned their favorite leading man preferred love that wasn't allowed, that illusion would collapse. Tab Hunter wasn't just protecting himself. He was protecting an entire industry built on a lie. What these secrets did to Tab Hunter: the pressure didn't just follow Tab from room to room. It lived inside his chest every day, like a second heartbeat. He had to watch everything he said, study every move he made, pretend every stage date was real, burn love letters so they wouldn't ruin him. He once said his greatest fear was simply someone finding out who I really am. Not because he was ashamed, but because he knew the punishment. The punishment was silence and loneliness, and watching the love of your life walk away because staying meant destruction. Tab wasn't hiding a scandal. He was hiding survival. The aftermath. Hollywood tries to forget. As time passed, Hollywood pretended the rumors never existed. Tab was replaced with younger faces. New lies were built on top of the old ones. But secrets don't die. They wait. Decades later, Tab finally found a world that was changing. A world beginning to question the lies it once cheered for. He wrote his truth. He spoke his truth. He dared to live in daylight for the first time. And when he revealed the love he had been denied, the world didn't destroy him. It applauded. That applause didn't erase the pain, but it finally acknowledged the man underneath the movie poster. The real scandal. So what's the truth here? Were these 5 men Tab Hunter's secret lovers? Maybe, maybe not. But that's not the scandal. The scandal is that Hollywood, an industry built to tell stories about love, made real love a threat. The scandal is that Tab Hunter, a man adored by millions, wasn't allowed to choose who he held hands with in public, or who he kissed goodnight when the cameras were gone. The scandal is that he had to look over his shoulder before he could look into someone's eyes. The scandal is that every heartbeat he felt, every spark he tried to protect could have cost him his entire life's work. Imagine waking up every morning knowing the thing that makes you human, the ability to care for someone, is the same thing that could destroy you. Imagine seeing the person you love standing just a few feet away and having to pretend they're nothing to you, not because the love isn't real, but because the world isn't ready. The studios turned romance into a battlefield. They weaponized affection. They censored truth. They forced actors to live in masks so convincing that sometimes even they forgot who they were underneath. Rumors weren't entertainment. They were bullets. One headline could end a career. One photo could ruin a future. One careless moment of happiness could become evidence in a case against you. That is the real tragedy of Tab Hunter's life. He wasn't hiding a scandal. He was hiding a human right, the right to love without fear. These 5 names, Brando, Nureyev, Berger, Johnson, Perkins, are more than rumors on a list. They are symbols of the choices he never truly got to make. They remind us that Tab Hunter wasn't allowed to live the life he earned. He wasn't allowed to love with the joy he gave to others. He wasn't allowed to build a future without first checking over his shoulder. He deserved a life without fear, a life without hiding, a life where rumors weren't stronger than the truth, a life where love wasn't a headline, a life where truth didn't demand sacrifice, a life where happiness wasn't treated like a crime. Hollywood told him he could be anyone he wanted to be, just not himself. Tab Hunter once stood in front of cameras, charming the world into believing he was the perfect man. But the perfect man doesn't exist. A real man does. And Tab Hunter was real. In every laugh, every heartbreak, every silent plea to just be allowed to live. He gave the world joy. Hollywood gave him rules. Rumors gave him fear. Silence gave him pain. And secrecy gave him scars. But love, the real kind, waited for him. It waited through the panic. It waited through the lies. It waited through the decades where he didn't know if happiness was something he was allowed to have. Love waited until the world finally changed, until he could finally change with it. When Tab Hunter came forward near the end of his life, he didn't expose a scandal. He exposed the truth. And in the end, the truth gave him freedom, not Hollywood's version of freedom, not a studio-crafted illusion, but the kind of freedom that cannot be bought, scripted, or staged, the freedom to be human. Tab Hunter did not get the life he deserved in his youth, but he claimed it in his final years, proudly, openly, beautifully. And that is something even Hollywood couldn't take